This is Weekend Mornings with Sterling Fox on 980 CKNW.
7:18 in the sunshine. I'm talking with Amina Scooch from Aultrust Financial, one of the developers of a project called 3000 Henry Street in Port Moody, BC. The concept is kind of old and right back and front and center again. It's rent to own. My apologies. I got a little wrapped up in my own homework there and recommended the wrong website because I was looking around and comparing how other people do it. And of course, Tenant BC, what they think about it. 3000henry.com, by the way, is the website, friends, for this particular Aultrust development in Port Moody. And it's on Henry Street, and it's close to transit. That's a big part of attractions these days, no matter where you locate in Metro Vancouver. This is close to SkyTrain and all of the amenities. It's in a family-oriented part of town. And you were talking about the municipality and the degree of cooperation that they've been giving you. What sort of extra or what sort of negotiating is required when you do a rent-to-own project that might be different from just a condo deal?
Well, municipalities typically have their own programs, and in the case of Port Moody, they've been open to the idea of rent-to-own as an affordability measure, which we really appreciate. Other programs, other municipalities might have set policies, and I think it's important for the community, the private sector and the public, for municipalities to all partner up to understand that there's a lot of concentration and focus on low-income affordability measures.
Yes.
And I think it's really important to also look at the middle class and middle-income families. Port Moody, for example, has a very high average household income at $110,000 or so per household. That, traditional affordability measures says 30% of your income, of your gross income, should go towards housing. That's about $2,500 a month, $2,700 a month. But yet that supports an $850,000 home in terms of mortgage payment. But if you don't have the down payment, try to save up for that. My calculation says, it's going to take between 8 to 9 years for an average family if you don't have the bank of mom and dad.
Right.
With policies like rent to own, you can drop that down to about 5 years. 2 years of which is the duration that you're in the program. So it's a tremendous amount of impact on the community and the ownership. And one of the measures of upward mobility in any economy is the home ownership. And I think it's important that that partnership, the policies are set to try and incentivize more of these kind of programs.
Right. Now let's back to the model you described, because again, it's very attractive for a lot of people who just don't have the ability to dip into some reserve and pull out a great wad of cash and make the big housing move. So this way, you would first you sign two contracts, correct? One is the lease on the apartment or the condo that you're going to occupy for 2 years. Any renter or most renters are going to sign some kind of lease arrangement when they move into anywhere. So this is not unusual. What's the second document, Amin?
So there are actually three contracts. One is your usual purchase and sale agreement that you would do when you pre-sale any condo anywhere across town. The second is the lease agreement where you agree to lease the unit at certain rates. Right. For the duration of the 2 years. And then the third is a delayed closing contract, which says, yes, I've bought into this unit, but I agree and the developer agrees that you're not going to buy it on completion. You will have a period of 2 years, and then that allows them to wait for 2 years before they close on the unit that they've subscribed to.
Okay. And the first one you talked about was a pre-sale, and that just basically agrees to the price that all parties are okay with at the beginning of the exercise.
Correct. That's a standard purchase and sale agreement that you would need to sign when you buy into any property.
So what happens, though, and again, I'm just trying to do the math, and I never should on live radio, but what happens if when you finish your 2-year term and that money is now allocated to the down payment, but there's still a difference between the amount that should be used for a down payment based on mortgage realities, that you have to have X percent before the bank will give you a mortgage. Suppose there's a difference. Are you required at that 2-year point to make up the difference in cash,
You are, and that's part of the reason why we're going to be very selective in terms of who gets to enter into this program based on need, based on personal circumstances, and also we make sure that they do qualify at the end of the 2 years to purchase the units by having sort of previous discussions with their bank and having a letter of qualification to make sure that opportunity is not taken away from another individual who might otherwise be able to buy it.
So do you have to pre-qualify for a mortgage in order to sign the original agreement based on, okay, here's the price, and then you move into the lease and the other agreements? Do you have to be able to qualify for a mortgage before you sign anything?
Correct. So it will not be like a hard qualification. It will just basically be an assessment by the bank that says, yes, this individual, given the down payment is saved up at the end of this period, will be eligible for a mortgage. And then the actual qualification happens at the end. But this is a sort of a screening mechanism to be fair to the participants, to make sure that the people who do sign up actually have the means to close at the end of the 2-year period.
So what sort of interest, Love? This is a fascinating concept for those who have jobs and just not gobs of money in the closet. This represents an opportunity to move to home ownership if that's their goal. What sort of interest are you attracting?
Phenomenal interest. Some of the stories that we're hearing are, so these are your nurses in the community. These are your engineers, professionals, tradespeople, people who do have a substantial level of income. And again, as we mentioned, they don't have access to a glob of cash,
right.
But they're responsible, professional, high-earning individuals who, for one reason or another, have been locked out of the housing market. And this is an opportunity for us to maintain, to give them an opportunity to own a home and maintain their connection to the community that they live in, which is why I think this concept is so powerful. And that it should be looked at by all municipalities, honestly, as a policy, and be incentivized.
How many units do you have? How many are still available?
Well, we're still in the planning phases, so we're still looking for approval. But we are at the latest planning stages. We're going for a third reading and the public hearing at the end of this month, and we're hoping that, again, once we're approved, we have 173 units that will be brought to market, and 10% of those units will be provided as rent-to-own, so 17 units.
Okay. And so all subject to, of course, a ratification by an approval by City Council at the end of the month. Will you do us a favor, please, Amin? After that final vote and you get the thumbs up and the green light to go ahead, will you give us a call and let us know so we can pass along the word?
Absolutely. Happy to be back.
Okay, great stuff, and good luck with this. It's an old idea whose time might just have come back again. Thanks for doing this morning.
Thank you, Stirling.
There's Amin Escout from Aultrust Financial, developers of the project on Henry Street in Port Moody, 3000 Henry Street. News coming up next on CKNW Mornings.